Airbnb just made a huge change to their extenuating circumstances policy, which is probably the policy where hosts lose the most money. So this is a big update for you. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about what the policy was, what it's going to be, how this will affect your income, and what you can do moving forward with this new policy because, of course, as a host, you need to know these things. Sean Rakijic, Airbnb Automated, and let's talk Airbnb's extenuating circumstance policy. Welcome back, Airbnb family. So yes, Airbnb did just update their extenuating circumstances policy yesterday, September 23rd. It hasn't gone into effect yet, so you've got some time to prepare. But long story short, to give you a little backstory, Airbnb, their policy has typically covered two main areas for extenuating circumstances. One is unforeseen personal circumstance, and the other one is like large-scale events, pandemics, earthquakes, natural disasters. Airbnb, in their own words, according to this press release, which I'll share with you in the description below, they say that a majority of their extenuating circumstances claims are for those unforeseen personal circumstances. And they took host feedback in order to make the policy change that they're about to make. So that policy change that they're going to make is they're essentially going to cut this extenuating circumstances policy in half and only include the natural disasters and large-scale events. Now, you may have remembered that before coronavirus, in March, they did not have pandemic listed in the extenuating circumstances. They talk about earthquakes and hurricanes and stuff like that, but they didn't talk about pandemics, and they actually added that in midstream here in April, I believe, is when they added that. So now it will include pandemics moving forward, including when they make this change, but they're going to remove the personal circumstances. So people whose flights get canceled or delayed, people who get sick, loved one gets sick, loved one dies, all of that stuff is no longer going to be covered under extenuating circumstances, and they encourage hosts and guests to work out their own, refunds if, a host decides to grant one in this case. This policy goes into effect next year, January 21st, 2021, which gives you the whole year to prepare for it. So now, guests that check in anytime before the 21st of January can still cancel their reservations if there's a death in the family or a flight gets canceled, things like that. But after the 21st, any bookings where the arrival date is after that, it no longer takes effect. That means that people who've booked now but are checking in January 30th still will have to deal with the new policy. So you're good to go there. Airbnb did address one question, which is what happens if the COVID-19 flare-up happens again? Well, Airbnb did remind everyone that only reservations made before March 14th are subject to refund for the pandemic. That anybody booking now after March 14th, 2020, understands that there's a pandemic, understands that coronavirus is real, and they are traveling and accepting the risks of that. So coronavirus will no longer be a reason that somebody can quote a pandemic as a reason for cancellation. It'll have to be a new event. Now, some of you may think that this is too harsh, that people should be able to cancel their reservations if a flight gets delayed or someone dies. But let's talk about the logic for this, because there's a key reason why homes have this type of cancellation policy where hotels do not. A lot of you will claim that a hotel will give you free cancellation up until the day of arrival. And let's look at the marketing for a hotel as a justification for why. When you show up to a hotel, they assign you the room after you arrive. When you book a hotel, let's say you get on Booking.com or Priceline or their website and book at the Hilton online, you won't know what unit you're going to be in or what hotel room you're going to be in. They just have you in the bank as one of their reservations. So if you show up or not, it won't really matter as far as which unit you would have or would not have been in. So the hotel can continue to market the hotel 100%. Even at 100% occupancy, they can continue to market and still take guests and turn away their overflow if they so choose to actually overbook. And some hotels do overbook, expecting some percentage of people not to show up for their reservations if those reservations have a flexible cancellation or no money down policy. Now, the thing is with Airbnb homes, it's completely different. There's a contractual relationship where the moment you book a home on Airbnb or say Vrbo or Booking.com, all of these, that one specific address, that one specific apartment is yours. And there's nothing that a host can do to market that property in case you don't show up. So if you book a 2-week-long stay at someone's house in North Carolina, and then your flight gets canceled and you don't show up, at least for a couple days into your trip, that host could have spent the month and a half marketing to fill up the 2 days that you were going to miss as an unforeseen circumstance, but Airbnb doesn't allow that. The home share doesn't allow it. The mechanics of that are impossible. So Airbnb, in order to have a policy that they say is the most transparent in the competitive market for home share, and to have one that's balanced between hosts and guests, they had to recognize the fact that hosts have no flexibility in marketing their property once it's been pre-booked. And that time that elapses while someone has reserved the home has an inherent value. So if you book the option of my home 2 months from now and you hold it for all 2 months, I'm held hostage by your reservation and I can't take another guest. I can't market to have another guest. So if you cancel last minute, the odds of me collecting the same amount of money as your reservation paid is highly unlikely, because of course last minute bookings, we all have to lower our prices to get our homes booked last minute. There is a difference in value there, so guests have to take responsibility for some of the cost of holding a home and then not utilizing it, and they can't just get out scot-free anymore. This is my take, and this is what I believe Airbnb really used as their main focus of logic. And then of course, you can always say that Airbnb will make more money at the end of the day by not giving guest refunds, because of course Airbnb makes a transaction fee of roughly 11% on every booking that gets made on the platform. So if they let hosts keep the money, then Airbnb gets to keep their 11% too. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts. If you guys have experiences with extenuating circumstances policy, you think this is good or bad, let's talk about it in the comments. Maybe we'll do a follow-up video with some of your guys' stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side.